The morning sun rose over New Haven Colony, painting the fields in soft golden light. Lyra Velshara stood at the window of her small home, watching her husband work in the garden. Connor Blake moved slowly among the plants, checking each one with careful hands. He was always gentle like this, always patient. Lyra smiled as she watched him. 3 years had passed since she first came to this quiet farming world. 3 years since she met the human who would become her husband. It still felt like a dream sometimes. She was Zalarian, tall and graceful with blue skin that shimmered in the light. Her people were traders and merchants traveling between the stars to do business. Connor was human, shorter than her, with brown hair touched by gray and kind brown eyes. He spoke softly and smiled rarely, but when he did, it made her heart warm. They were an unusual pair. Most people in the colony were surprised when they started spending time together. A Zalarian woman and a human man, but Lyra did not care what others thought. Connor made her happy in a way no one else ever had. She remembered the first time she saw him. It was at the colony market 3 years ago. She had just arrived on New Haven to set up her trading business. The market was busy that day, full of farmers selling their crops. Connor stood behind a small table covered with vegetables. He was not calling out to customers like the other sellers. He just stood there quietly waiting. Lyra walked over to look at his produce. The vegetables were beautiful, each one perfect. She picked up a strange red fruit she had never seen before. "What is this?" she asked. "Tomato," Connor said. His voice was quiet but steady. "From Earth, I grow them here. Can I eat it?" "Yes, most species can. It is safe for Zalarians." Lyra bought several tomatoes that day. She came back the next week for more. Then the week after that. Soon she was visiting Connor's table every market day. They started talking about more than just vegetables. He told her about farming. She told him about her travels across the galaxy. One day, Connor invited her to see his farm. It was a small place at the edge of the colony, simple but well cared for. Rows of crops stretched across the land. A small house sat among the fields, old but sturdy. "I built most of it myself," Connor said as they walked through his fields. "It is not much, but it is mine." "It is peaceful," Lyra said. "I like it." Connor looked at her with something soft in his eyes. "I like peace," he said quietly. "I have had enough of everything else." Lyra wanted to ask what he meant, but something in his voice made her stop. There was weight behind those words, old pain that he kept hidden. She did not push. Some things, she learned, needed time. Their friendship grew slowly, like Connor's crops. He taught her about earth plants and human farming methods. She taught him about Zalarian culture and the different worlds she had visited. They shared meals together. They watched sunsets from his porch. It was during one of those sunsets that Connor asked her to stay. "I know you travel for your work," he said, not looking at her, "but this colony could use a good trader. Someone honest, someone who cares about people. Are you asking me to live here?" Lyra asked. "I am asking if you would want to." Connor finally looked at her. "I'm asking if you would want to stay near me." Lyra felt her heart beat faster. "Yes," she said. "I would want that very much." They were married 6 months later. It was a small ceremony with just a few friends from the colony. They mixed human and Zalarian traditions, speaking vows in both languages. Connor wore simple clothes and smiled more that day than Lyra had ever seen. She wore traditional Zalarian silk that caught the light like water. Life after marriage was simple and good. Lyra ran her trading business from a small shop in the colony center. Connor worked his farm. They spent evenings together, cooking dinner and talking about their days. Sometimes they said nothing at all, just sitting together in comfortable silence. The colony itself was peaceful. New Haven was far from the busy trade routes and the centers of galactic power. People came here to live quiet lives, to farm or raise families away from the noise of the wider galaxy. Many species lived together here. Humans, Zalarians, Torvans, even a few Kryn. Everyone got along. Connor was well liked in the colony. He helped neighbors fix broken equipment. He shared his crops with families who had bad harvests. When old Mr. Chen's barn collapsed, Connor spent 3 days helping rebuild it, asking nothing in return. "Your husband is a good man," people told Lyra. "You are lucky." She knew they were right. Connor was good and kind and gentle. But sometimes, late at night, she would wake to find him sitting up in bed, breathing hard, staring at nothing. He would have nightmares that made him shake. "Are you okay?" she would ask. Just bad dreams, he would say. Go back to sleep. She would hold him until the shaking stopped, but he never told her what the dreams were about. In the morning, he would be himself again, quiet and calm, working in his fields like nothing happened. Lyra knew Connor had secrets. He never spoke about his life before New Haven. She knew he came from Earth, but that was all. When people asked about his past, he would just say, I used to work for the government, and change the subject. She did not mind. Everyone had a past. Whatever Connor had been before, he was a good man now. That was what mattered. There was only one thing in their home that seemed out of place. In their bedroom, pushed against the wall, was an old wooden chest. It was locked, and Connor kept the key on a chain around his neck. He never opened it, not even when Lyra was watching. What is inside? She asked once. Connor's face went dark. Old things, he said. Things from before. They are not important now. Can I see? No. His voice was firm, almost hard. Then he softened. Please, Lyra, that part of my life is over. I do not want to go back there. She never asked again. Life went on peacefully. The seasons changed. Crops grew and were harvested. Lyra's business did well. She and Connor talked about maybe having children someday. Though cross-species adoption was complicated, they were happy. That was the simple truth. In a galaxy full of war and conflict and struggle, they had found a small corner of peace together. Lyra thought it would last forever. She was wrong. The day everything changed started like any other day. Connor was in the fields. Lyra was in her shop helping a customer. The sky was clear and blue. Then someone shouted. Lyra stepped outside and looked up. Everyone in the colony was looking up. High above them, blocking out the sun, was a massive ship. It was dark and ugly, covered in weapons. More ships appeared around it, smaller but still dangerous. The ships began to descend. Lyra felt her blood turn cold. She knew what those ships were. Everyone in the galaxy knew those markings. Pirates. Kryn pirates. The worst kind. She ran toward home, her forearms pumping as she moved faster than she ever had before. She had to get to Connor. They had to hide. They had to run. But even as she ran, she knew the truth. There was nowhere to run. New Haven had no defenses, no military, nothing to protect them. The pirates had come, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. The pirate ships landed on the edge of New Haven Colony with a sound like thunder. Dust rose in huge clouds as the vessels settled onto the ground. Lyra reached her home, breathing hard, her heart pounding in her chest. Connor, she shouted as she burst through the door. He was already inside, standing by the window. His face was calm, but his eyes were different. They were hard and focused in a way Lyra had never seen before. I saw the ships, Connor said quietly. How many? 6 that I counted. Maybe more. Lyra grabbed his arm with 2 of her hands. Connor, we have to hide. We have to get to the forest or... No time. Connor looked at her, and something in his expression made her stop talking. Listen to me carefully. I need you to go down to the cellar. Lock the door. Do not come out until I come get you. What? No. Connor, I am not leaving you. Please. He touched her face gently. Please, Lyra, trust me. Go to the cellar now. The way he said it, so calm and certain, made Lyra obey even though every part of her wanted to argue. She went to the cellar door and climbed down the wooden stairs. The cellar was small and dark, used for storing food. There was a crack in the floorboards above where she could see into the house. She heard Connor moving around upstairs. Then she heard other sounds from outside, shouting, screaming, weapons firing. The pirates were spreading through the colony. Through the crack in the floor, Lyra watched Connor walk to the center of their small home. He stood very still, just waiting. His hands hung loose at his sides. He looked like he always did, calm and quiet. But something was different. The way he stood. The way he held himself. Like he was made of steel instead of flesh. The front door exploded inward. 3 Kryn pirates stomped inside. They were huge creatures, each one nearly 7 feet tall, with thick gray skin and tusks jutting from their mouths. They carried energy rifles and wore armor covered in weapons. Well, well, one of them growled. His voice was rough and mean. A human. And he looks like a farmer. This will be easy. The pirates started taking things from the house. They grabbed Lyra's trade goods from the shelves. They knocked over furniture. One of them picked up the photo of Connor and Lyra's wedding day that sat on the table. He looked at it and laughed. You married a blueskin? the pirate said. Humans will breed with anything. Where is she? We could sell her for good money. Put the photo down, Connor said. His voice was still quiet, but there was something underneath it now. Something cold. The pirate looked at Connor and laughed louder. Or what, farmer? You going to stop us? I am asking you nicely, Connor said. Put it down and leave. You do not want to do this. I think we do. The pirate dropped the photo. The glass frame shattered on the floor. In fact, I think we will take everything you have. Your crops, your money, your wife when we find her. And if you try to stop us, I will. Connor moved. Lyra barely saw it. One moment he was standing in the center of the room. The next moment he was across the room at the old wooden chest against the wall. His hand moved to his neck and pulled the key from its chain. He unlocked the chest and threw open the lid. Inside was a long bundle wrapped in dark cloth. Next to it was a jacket, military style, with patches and symbols Lyra did not recognize. Connor pulled out both items. He unfolded the cloth and Lyra's breath caught in her throat. It was a sword, a human katana, long and curved with a dark handle wrapped in cord. The blade shined in the light and there were strange markings carved along its length. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The pirates had stopped laughing. They stared at Connor as he held the sword. The weapon looked natural in his hands, like it belonged there. Last chance, Connor said. He was not shouting, but his voice carried weight now. Leave, now. Tell your captain this colony is protected. The lead pirate sneered, but Lyra could see uncertainty in his eyes now. You are just one human with a sword. We have guns. We have armor. You cannot... Connor moved again. This time Lyra saw more, but only just. Connor flowed forward like water, impossibly fast. The sword moved in a blur of silver light. There was a ringing sound as metal hit metal. The first pirate's rifle fell to the ground in 2 pieces. The pirate stared at his broken weapon in shock. Connor spun. The second pirate tried to aim his gun, but Connor's sword hit the barrel and knocked it aside. Then Connor's foot came up and caught the pirate in the chest. The huge creature flew backward and crashed into the wall, stunned. The third pirate roared and charged forward with his tusks. Connor sidestepped smoothly. His sword moved again, cutting through the straps of the pirate's armor. The armor fell away in pieces. Connor's elbow struck the pirate in the side of the head, and the creature dropped like a stone. It took less than 10 seconds. 3 armed pirates, each one huge and dangerous, lay on the ground groaning. Connor stood among them, breathing normally, his sword held ready. Not one drop of blood had been spilled. Lyra stared from the cellar, her heart's pounding. What had she just seen? Who was this man holding a sword in her living room? This could not be Connor. Her Connor was gentle. He was kind. He grew vegetables and helped his neighbors. He was not this. Connor looked down at the fallen pirates. I told you to leave, he said quietly. Then he looked up, right at the crack in the floor where Lyra was watching. His eyes were still hard, still cold. But she saw pain in them too. Terrible pain. I am sorry, Connor whispered, though she did not know if he was talking to her or to himself. I am so sorry. Outside there was more shouting. Running footsteps. Someone was coming to the house. Connor moved to the door, sword in hand, and Lyra saw him put on the old military jacket. The patches on it were faded, but she could make out symbols now. Earth Military. Special Forces, the kind of unit that did not exist in official records. The door opened again. It was Kate Murphy, the colony's deputy marshal. She was bleeding from a cut on her head and she looked terrified. Connor, Kate gasped. Thank God you are okay. We need to... She stopped, seeing the 3 unconscious pirates on the floor. Then she saw Connor standing there with his sword and military jacket. Her eyes went wide. You are... I know, Connor said. How bad is it out there? Kate shook her head like she was trying to clear it. Bad, really bad. They have taken hostages at the central square. Their captain is there, a Kryn named Vexer Thane. He says he will kill 1 hostage every hour until we give them everything. All our crops, all our supplies, everything. How many pirates? Maybe 30. Maybe more. Kate looked at Connor desperately. We have no weapons. No defenses. The nearest Federation outpost is 3 days away. We sent a distress call, but she did not finish. They both knew help would not come in time. Connor was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at the floor again, at the crack where Lyra watched. I need to get my wife, he said. He walked to the cellar door and opened it. Lyra climbed up the stairs slowly. She could not stop staring at him. At the sword. At the jacket. At the way he stood so different from the man she thought she knew. "Connor," she said. Her voice was shaking. "What? Who are you?" He looked at her with such sadness in his eyes. "I am the same person," he said. "But I was not always a farmer. Before I came here, before I met you, I was a soldier. A special operations soldier. I did things." He stopped. "I did things I am not proud of. Things I wanted to forget. You never told me. I wanted that life to be over. I wanted to be just Connor. Just your husband. Just a man who grows vegetables and watches sunsets." He gestured at the unconscious pirates. "But some things do not stay buried." Kate stepped forward. "Connor, I saw what you did. You took down 3 armed Kryn in seconds. If you can do that, can you help us? Can you save the hostages?" Connor closed his eyes. His hands tightened on his sword. Lyra could see him shaking slightly, like he was fighting something inside himself. She thought about all the nights he woke up from nightmares. All the times he refused to talk about his past. All the weight he carried that he never shared with her. She understood now. He had been running from this. From what he used to be, from what he could do. But people were dying. Their friends. Their neighbors. People who needed help. Lyra stepped close to Connor and put one hand on his chest. She could feel his heart beating fast. "I am scared," she said honestly. "Scared of what I just saw. Scared of what I do not know about you. But I know you are good. I know you are kind. Those things are real too." She looked into his eyes. "Right now people need you. Not the farmer. The soldier. Can you save them?" Connor looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I can try. But Lyra, if I do this, if I become that person again, even for a little while, I do not know if I can come back from it." "Then I will help you come back," Lyra said. "But first save our home." Connor took a deep breath. Then something changed in his face. The gentle farmer faded away and someone else emerged. Someone hard and focused and dangerous. "Stay here," he told Lyra. He looked at Kate. "Show me where they are." As Connor walked toward the door, Lyra called out, "Connor!" He turned. "Come back to me," she said. He nodded once. Then he was gone, moving into the chaos outside. A quiet human with a sword going to face 30 armed pirates alone. Lyra could not stay in the house. She knew Connor told her to wait, but she had to see. She had to know what was happening. Kate had gone with Connor toward the colony center. Lyra followed at a distance, keeping to the shadows between buildings. The colony was in chaos. Pirates were everywhere, breaking into homes and shops. Colonists ran in panic or tried to hide. Smoke rose from several buildings that had been set on fire. Lyra saw neighbors she had known for years huddled in fear. She moved carefully, using her forearms to climb onto a roof where she could see better. From there, she tracked Connor's movement through the colony. What she saw made her breath catch. Connor moved like a ghost. He did not run straight through the streets where the pirates could see him. Instead, he used side paths and shadows. He climbed walls and moved over rooftops. He was completely silent. A group of 4 pirates stood guard near the market square. They were laughing and drinking something they had stolen. Connor dropped down behind them from a roof. His sword flashed. 4 rifles fell to the ground, cut cleanly through their power cores. The pirates spun around in shock. Connor moved between them like wind through grass. He struck the first pirate in the throat with his hand, and the creature made a choking sound and fell. He kicked the second pirate's knee, and there was a cracking sound. The pirate collapsed. Connor's elbow hit the third pirate in the temple, dropping him instantly. The 4th pirate tried to run, but Connor swept his legs out from under him. The pirate's head hit the ground, and he went still. 5 seconds. 4 pirates down. None of them dead, Lyra realized. Hurt, unable to fight, but alive. Connor kept moving. He did not stop. He did not slow down. He flowed through the colony like water, finding cracks in stone, appearing wherever pirates had gathered. Every group he found, he disabled the same way. Fast, precise, efficient, and always without killing. Lyra followed, jumping from roof to roof. She watched her husband work. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like watching a predator hunt. But Connor was not hunting to kill. He was hunting to stop, to protect. She saw him take down 6 pirates who were looting the medical center. She saw him disable 3 more who had trapped a family in their home. Each time his movements were the same. Smooth, controlled, perfect. Like he had done this 1,000 times before. And maybe he had, Lyra realized. Whatever Connor's past was, he had been trained for this. Trained to be a weapon. But he was choosing to be a shield instead. As she watched, Lyra started to understand. Connor had not lied to her about who he was. He really was kind. He really was gentle. But he was also capable of incredible violence. Those two things existed in him at the same time. The fact that he chose gentleness every day, even though he could choose violence, made his kindness even more real. Connor reached the central square. Lyra moved to a building nearby where she could see everything. The square was full of people. Colonists sat on the ground with their hands tied. There had to be at least 50 hostages. Around them stood a dozen armed pirates, watching them with weapons ready. In the center of it all was the pirate captain. Vexer Thane was massive even for a Kryn. He stood over 8 feet tall with scars covering his gray skin. His tusks were decorated with metal rings. He wore heavy armor and carried 2 large pistols on his belt. Everything about him screamed danger. "Attention, farmers," Thane was shouting. "You have 1 hour left. Bring us your harvest, your money, your goods, or I start shooting." Connor stepped into the square. He walked calmly, sword in one hand hanging loose at his side. He wore his old military jacket over his farming clothes. He looked small compared to the pirates around him. But he did not look afraid. Every pirate turned to look at him. The square went quiet. Thane stared at Connor. His eyes moved from the human's face to the sword to the jacket with its faded patches. Lyra saw the pirate captain's expression change. His confidence cracked. His eyes went wide. "No," Thane whispered. Then louder, "No, it cannot be. You are supposed to be a myth." Connor stopped walking about 20 feet from Thane. "Let these people go," he said quietly. "Take your ships and leave this colony. You do not want to be here." "The ghost of Zelaria," Thane breathed. Several of the other pirates heard him and started muttering nervously. "I heard stories about you. They said you were a legend. A story soldiers told to scare each other." "I am real," Connor said. "And I am asking you nicely. Leave." Thane looked around at his pirates. He looked at the hostages. Then he looked back at Connor and his fear turned to anger. "You think you scare me? You think because you have a sword and a reputation I will run? I have 30 armed warriors. You are alone." "I know," Connor said. "But I do not want to hurt anyone. Please, just go." "You do not want to hurt anyone?" Thane laughed, but it sounded forced. "Then you have gone soft, Ghost. The stories said you were the most dangerous human alive. A soldier who could destroy armies alone. But look at you now, a farmer. An old man playing with a sword." Connor's expression did not change. "I'm asking one more time. Please leave. For your sake, kill him," Thane roared. The 12 pirates around the square raised their weapons. Energy rifles hummed with power, all aimed at Connor. The hostages screamed. Lyra put a hand over her mouth, terrified. Connor moved. He was fast before. Now he was something else. Something Lyra could barely track with her eyes. One moment he stood in the center of the square. The next he was among the pirates like a storm. His sword sang through the air. The first pirate's rifle broke apart. Connor's fist drove into the pirate's stomach and the huge creature folded. Connor spun, his blade cutting through the barrel of another rifle. His foot came up and struck the second pirate in the chest, sending him flying backward. A third pirate tried to grab Connor from behind. Connor dropped low, sweeping the pirate's legs. The pirate crashed to the ground. Connor's sword hilt struck the pirate's head, and he went still, 3 pirates down in as many seconds. The remaining pirates opened fire, but Connor was never where they aimed. He moved between shots like he could see them coming. He dodged left and a beam of energy passed through empty air. He rolled forward and 3 more beams crossed above him. He jumped and spun and a whole volley missed. Then he was among them again. His sword flashed, destroying weapons. His hands and feet struck with perfect precision. Pirates fell around him like trees in a storm. Some tried to fight back, swinging fists and using their tusks, but Connor flowed around every attack. He was water and they were stone. They could not touch him. Lyra watched in amazement and horror. This was not a fight. It was something else. A dance maybe, but one where only Connor knew the steps. The pirates were bigger, stronger, better armed. It did not matter. Connor dismantled them one by one with movements that were almost too fast to see. The hostages sat frozen. watching a quiet human with a sword take apart an entire pirate crew. Some of them had known Connor for years, bought vegetables from him, shared meals with him. Now they saw what he really was, what he had always been capable of. In less than 2 minutes, 11 pirates lay on the ground, groaning and defeated. Not one was dead, but all were unable to fight. Connor stood among them, not even breathing hard. His sword was clean, not a drop of blood on it. Only Thane remained standing. The pirate captain stared at the scene in disbelief, his whole crew beaten by one human. He looked at Connor with fear and rage mixed together. "This is impossible," Thane growled. "You are just a man, just flesh and bone." "Yes," Connor said quietly, "but I trained my whole life to protect people." "You trained to hurt them. That makes all the difference." Thane roared and drew both his pistols. "I will kill you. I will kill all of you." He fired both weapons at once. Connor moved. He ducked under the first beam and sidestepped the second. He ran straight at Thane, sword held low. Thane kept firing faster and faster, but every shot missed. Connor was too fast, too skilled. Connor reached Thane and his sword flashed upward. Both pistols fell to the ground in pieces. Thane swung a massive fist at Connor's head. Connor leaned back and the fist passed an inch from his face. Connor's foot swept out, hitting Thane's ankle. The huge pirate stumbled. Connor spun behind Thane and struck the back of the pirate's knees with the flat of his sword. Thane's legs buckled. He fell to his knees and Connor's sword came to rest against the side of Thane's neck. The square was completely silent. "It is over," Connor said quietly. "You lost. Your crew is defeated. Your weapons are broken. Surrender." Thane knelt there, breathing hard. His eyes showed defeat. Slowly, he raised his hands. Connor stepped back, lowering his sword. He looked at the hostages. "Someone get rope to tie them up. And call Kate Murphy. We need to secure these prisoners." The colonists started moving, but slowly. They looked at Connor differently now. Some looked grateful. Some looked afraid. All looked shocked. Lyra climbed down from her roof and walked into the square. Connor saw her coming. His expression changed, the hardness fading. He looked down at the sword in his hand like he was seeing it for the first time. "Lyra," he said. His voice was shaking now. I did not want you to see that." She walked up to him and took the sword gently from his hand. She looked at it, then at him. "You saved everyone," she said. "All these people. You saved them all." "I scared them," Connor said. He looked at the colonists who were staring at him. "They will never look at me the same way again." "Maybe not," Lyra said. "But they are alive to look at you at all. That is what matters." Connor looked down at his hands. They were shaking now, all the control and calm falling away. I wanted to leave that person behind. The soldier. The weapon. I wanted to be just Connor. "You are still Connor," Lyra said firmly. She held his face with two of her hands. "The Connor who grows vegetables. The Connor who helps neighbors. The Connor who watches sunsets with me. But now I know you are also the Connor who protects people. Both can be true." Connor looked into her eyes. "Are you afraid of me now?" Lyra thought about her answer carefully. "A little," she said honestly. "What you can do, it is frightening. But I am not afraid of you. I am afraid for you. For what carrying this ability costs you." Around them, colonists were tying up the unconscious pirates. Kate Murphy arrived with more people to help. The colony was safe. The threat was over. But Lyra knew that for Connor, something else had just begun. He had opened a door to his past that he could never fully close again. 3 days passed after the pirate attack. The colony worked to repair the damage and treat the wounded. No one had died thanks to Connor. But nothing felt the same. Lyra sat in their home watching Connor through the window. He was outside in his field, sitting on the ground with his sword across his lap. He had been there since dawn, just sitting and staring at nothing.
He barely ate.
He barely slept. He barely spoke. She wanted to go to him, but she did not know what to say. The past 3 days had been strange and difficult. After the fight, after the pirates were captured, people treated Connor differently. Some thanked him. Some avoided him. Some looked at him with fear in their eyes. Children who used to run up to Connor now hid behind their parents. Neighbors who used to wave and smile now just nodded and walked past quickly. The man who saved them all had become someone they did not know how to talk to. Connor felt it. Lyra could see it in his eyes. He was pulling back into himself, becoming more quiet, more distant, like he was trying to disappear. There was a knock on the door. Lyra opened it to find an older human woman standing there. She wore a military uniform, but it was decorated with many medals and symbols of high rank. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly and her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Hello," the woman said. "My name is Admiral Helen Grant. I am looking for Connor Blake." Lyra stared. "An admiral. Here on New Haven." "He is in the field," she said carefully. "May I ask why you want to see him?" "I am an old friend," Grant said. "I heard about what happened here." "The pirate attack. How Connor stopped them." She smiled slightly. "I came as soon as I could." Lyra led the admiral through the house and out the back door. Connor looked up as they approached. When he saw Grant, something flickered in his eyes. Recognition and something else. Maybe regret. "Hello, Connor," Grant said. "Admiral," Connor said quietly. "You are a long way from Earth." "So are you." Grant looked around at the fields, at the simple farm. "This is where you have been for 15 years. Growing vegetables?" "Yes." "You look good. Peaceful." Grant sat down on the ground next to Connor. She looked at his sword. "I heard you still have your blade. I thought you would have destroyed it." "I tried," Connor said. "Many times. I could never do it. So I locked it away instead." He touched the sword gently. "Now it is out again. And everything I tried to leave behind came with it." Lyra stood a few feet away, listening. She wanted to understand. Needed to understand, Grant noticed her. "You must be Lyra, Connor's wife. He is lucky to have you." "Thank you," Lyra said. "Admiral, can you tell me about Connor's past?" "He never speaks of it. I want to understand who he was." Grant looked at Connor. He nodded slightly, giving permission. "Very well," Grant said. "But it is not a happy story." She took a breath. 15 years ago, the galaxy was at war. The Zellarian Empire and the Kryn Confederation formed an alliance to push into human space. We were losing. Badly. Millions of people were dying. Lyra felt her stomach tighten. She knew about that war. Every Zellarian did. It was a dark time for her people, too. "We needed something to turn the tide," Grant continued. "So we created special units. Small teams of soldiers who could do impossible missions. Rescue operations, sabotage, intelligence gathering. And she paused, sometimes eliminations." "Assassinations," Connor said flatly. "Say what it really was." "We killed people," Grant nodded. "Yes, but only when there was no other choice. Only when it would save more lives than it cost." She looked at Lyra. "Connor was the best of the best. The most skilled fighter I ever saw. We called him the Ghost of Zellaria, because he could infiltrate anywhere, complete any mission, and disappear without anyone knowing he was there." "How many missions did he do?" Lyra asked. 47, Connor said quietly. 47 missions behind enemy lines. I rescued prisoners. I destroyed weapons facilities. I stole intelligence. And yes, I killed generals who ordered massacres, scientists who developed biological weapons, pirates who were slaughtering colonies. He looked at his hands. I told myself it was necessary, that each person I killed saved hundreds or thousands of others. Maybe that was even true, but it does not make it easier to remember. "You were a soldier," Grant said, "following orders, doing your duty, until I stopped," Connor said. His voice was hard. "Until I found out what my final mission really was." Grant went quiet. Her face showed old pain. "What happened?" Lyra asked. Connor looked up at the sky. The war was ending. We were winning. But there were still Zellarian leaders who wanted to keep fighting. My last mission was to eliminate one of them. A general named Sarek Velthara. He glanced at Lyra. "Does that name mean anything to you?" Lyra felt her blood go cold. "Sarek Velthara was my grandfather. He died 15 years ago. They said it was a training accident." Connor closed his eyes. "It was supposed to look like an accident. I was supposed to make it look like an accident." He opened his eyes and looked at Lyra. "I tracked him for 3 days. I got close enough to complete the mission. But then I saw what he was really doing. He was not planning attacks. He was meeting with human diplomats in secret. He was working on a peace treaty. He was trying to end the war." "But your orders," Lyra whispered. "My orders were wrong. There were people in both governments who did not want peace, who wanted the war to continue because they profited from it. They sent me to kill a man who was trying to save lives." Connor's hands tightened into fists. "So I refused. I warned your grandfather instead." I helped him escape and get to the peace talks safely. That treaty ended the war 3 months later, Grant said. Saved millions of lives on both sides. But Connor had to go into hiding. Some very powerful people wanted him dead for disobeying orders. You gave me a new identity, Connor said to Grant. Erased my records, sent me here where no one would look for me. It was the least I could do, Grant said. You did the right thing. I always knew that. Lyra sat down heavily on the ground. Her grandfather. Connor had been sent to kill her grandfather, but saved him instead. Everything felt too large, too complicated. The man she married had been a soldier, an assassin, and a hero all at once. How could someone be all those things? Why are you here, Admiral? Connor asked. After 15 years, why now? Grant's face became serious. Because the galaxy has not forgotten the ghost of Zelaria. What you did 3 days ago defeating those pirates, it is already spreading. By now, half the sector knows that the legendary soldier lives on New Haven, that he is still as skilled as ever. So people are noticing. Some want to hire you. Mercenary groups, private companies, even some governments. They are offering ridiculous amounts of money. Grant paused. And some people are afraid of you. The same people who wanted you dead before. They will be coming. Connor stood up, his sword in his hand. Then I will fight them. Or, Grant said, standing as well, you could come back. Rejoin the military. We need people like you. The galaxy is not at peace, Connor. There are threats everywhere. Pirates, slavers, warlords. You could make a real difference again. No. Connor's voice was firm. I am done with that life. Are you? Grant gestured at the sword. You picked up your blade again. You remembered how... Can you really go back to just farming after this? I have to try. Grant looked at him sadly. Connor, you are one of the most talented soldiers I have ever known. That talent does not just go away. And as long as you are alive, people will want to use it or destroy it. You cannot hide from what you are. Watch me, Connor said. Grant sighed. I cannot force you. But think about it. The offer is there if you change your mind. She nodded to Lyra. Take care of him. He is a good man, even if he does not believe it himself. The Admiral walked away, back toward the colony center where her ship waited. Lyra and Connor stood alone in the field. Your grandfather, Connor said quietly. I should have told you. I am sorry. You saved him, Lyra said. You risked everything to save him. How can I be angry about that? But I was sent to kill him. I was that person. Someone who could do that. Lyra stepped close to Connor and took his hands. You were that person. But you chose not to be. That choice matters more than anything else. Connor looked at her. The Admiral is right. People will come. Some to hire me, some to kill me. I have put you in danger just by being here. Maybe I should leave. Go somewhere far away where... No, Lyra said firmly. We face this together. That is what marriage means. You did not sign up for this, for a husband with this kind of past. I signed up for you. All of you. The farmer and the soldier. The gentleman and the warrior. You are both. You are everything. She held his face in her hands. But Connor, you need to decide something. Who do you want to be now? Not who you were. Not who others want you to be. Who do you choose to be? Connor looked at his sword, then at his fields, then at Lyra. I do not know, he whispered. I thought I knew. I thought I could be just a farmer. Just a husband. But now you know that is not enough, Lyra said gently. You have skills, abilities, and there are people who need help. Like our colony needed help 3 days ago. She squeezed his hands. You do not have to go back to being a soldier. But you cannot pretend you are helpless either. Maybe there is something in between. Connor was quiet for a long time. The sun moved across the sky. The field swayed in the wind. Finally he spoke. I spent 15 years trying to forget how to fight, he said. Trying to bury the soldier inside me. But he never went away. He just waited. Connor looked at Lyra. If I accept that part of myself again, I do not know what it will do to me, to us. Then we will find out together, Lyra said. But hiding from it, pretending it does not exist, that is not working either. Look at you. You have barely eaten in 3 days. You sit in this field like you are waiting for punishment. That is not living, Connor. What do you suggest? I suggest we figure out a new path. Not soldier. Not farmer. Something new. Something that is truly you. She smiled slightly. You saved this colony without killing anyone. That was not the old soldier. That was not just the farmer. That was Connor Blake, the man I married, using all of himself to protect people. Connor looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he smiled. It was small and sad, but it was real. When did you become so wise? I married a human, Lyra said. I had to get wise to keep up. For the first time in 3 days, Connor laughed. It was quiet and brief, but it was there. He pulled Lyra close and held her with both arms. She wrapped all 4 of hers around him. Thank you, he whispered into her shoulder. For not leaving. For not being afraid. I told you, Lyra said. I am a little afraid, but I am more in love than afraid. That makes all the difference. They stood there in the field as the sun set, holding each other, 2 people from different worlds who had found something precious together. Whatever came next, whatever challenges or threats, they would face them as they faced everything else. Together. 2 weeks passed after Admiral Grant's visit. Life in New Haven slowly returned to normal, but it was a different normal than before. The colony had changed, and so had Connor's place in it. At first, people avoided him. They did not know how to act around the quiet farmer who turned out to be a legendary soldier. But gradually, things shifted. It started small. Old Mr. Chen approached Connor at the market one morning. He stood awkwardly for a moment, then stuck out his hand. Thank you, he said simply, for saving my grandchildren. They were in that square. Connor shook his hand, surprised. Of course. I would do it for anyone. I know, Mr. Chen said. That is why I am thanking you. After that, others came. The mother whose children Connor saved. The shopkeeper whose store would have been destroyed. The families who would have lost everything. They did not treat Connor like a hero or a weapon. They treated him like a neighbor who helped when it mattered most. The fear faded, replaced by something else. Respect, trust, understanding. Connor spent his days working in his fields like always. But now sometimes people would come to ask his advice, not about farming, about safety, about protection, about what to do if danger came again. We need to be able to defend ourselves, Kate Murphy said one evening. She sat with Connor and Lyra on their porch drinking tea. The Federation is too far away. By the time they respond to threats, people could be dead. What are you asking? Connor said carefully. Teach us, Kate said. Not to be soldiers, not to be fighters, but to protect ourselves. Basic self-defense. How to stay safe. How to work together if danger comes. Connor looked at Lyra. She nodded encouragingly. All right, Connor said. But we do this the right way. I teach you to protect, not to attack. To defend your homes and families, not to seek out fights. Can you accept that? Yes, Kate said firmly. That is exactly what we want. So Connor started teaching. 3 times a week, people gathered in the colony square. Humans, Zellarians, Torvins, even a few Kryn who had lived peacefully in New Haven for years. Connor taught them simple things. How to stay aware of their surroundings, how to move safely, how to work together in a crisis, basic techniques to escape holds or disarm attackers. He never taught them to kill, never taught them to seek violence. Everything was about protection and escape, about getting to safety and calling for help. Lyra watched the classes sometimes. She saw Connor patient and gentle with people who were scared or clumsy. She saw him encourage them when they felt hopeless. She saw the same kindness he always had, now used in a new way. You are good at this, she told him one night, at teaching. Connor smiled slightly. I was always better at doing than teaching. No, at showing people they can be strong without being cruel, that they can defend without attacking. That is a hard lesson, but you live it every day. Connor was quiet for a moment. I'm trying. Some days it is harder than others. I know, Lyra said. She took his hand. But you are trying. That is what matters. Life settled into a new rhythm. Connor farmed, he taught. He helped neighbors with regular things like fixing equipment or harvesting crops. He was still quiet, still gentle. But now people knew there was strength underneath that gentleness. And somehow that made them trust him more, not less. One afternoon, a month after the pirate attack, something arrived at the colony. A small ship landed near Connor and Lyra's farm. A Zellarian man stepped out, elderly and distinguished with silver markings on his blue skin. Lyra's breath caught when she saw him. Grandfather? Sarek Velthara smiled. Hello, Lyra, it has been too long. Lyra ran to him and they embraced. Connor stood back, uncertain. He had saved this man's life 15 years ago, but they had never actually met face to face. Sarek approached Connor slowly. He looked at the human for a long moment, studying his face. Then he bowed deeply, a gesture of profound respect in Zalarian culture. "You are the one called the Ghost," Sarek said, "the soldier who was sent to kill me but chose mercy instead." "Yes," Connor said quietly. "I am sorry for what I was asked to do. Do not apologize. You made the choice that mattered. Because of you, I lived to negotiate the peace treaty. Because of that treaty, millions of lives were saved. My people and yours?" Sarek straightened. "I have spent 15 years wondering who you were, where you went. Then I heard that my granddaughter married a quiet human farmer on New Haven. I did not make the connection until I heard about the pirate attack." He smiled. "The ghost of Zalaria, growing vegetables and teaching self-defense classes. The galaxy is strange sometimes." "I wanted a simple life," Connor said, "and you deserve one. But I wanted to thank you in person, and to tell you something." Sarek looked serious. "The people who wanted me dead, who sent you on that mission, most of them are gone now. Dead or imprisoned or powerless. You are not in danger from them anymore. You are free to live openly if you wish." Connor let out a breath he did not know he was holding. "Thank you for telling me. There is one more thing." Sarek reached into his robe and pulled out a small data chip. "This contains information about the peace treaty, the real history of how it came to be, including your part in it. I think the galaxy should know that a human soldier chose peace over orders, that he valued life over duty. It might help people understand that strength and mercy can exist together." Connor looked at the chip. "I do not want to be famous. I do not want recognition, I know. But perhaps others need to hear this story, need to know that there are people who choose the hard right over the easy wrong." Sarek pressed the chip into Connor's hand. "Do with it what you will, but I wanted you to have the truth." Sarek stayed for dinner that night. He and Lyra talked about family, about her business, about life on New Haven. He and Connor spoke quietly about the war, about the weight of hard choices, about finding peace afterward. "You chose well," Sarek told Lyra before he left. "This human of yours. He is good, I know," Lyra said, smiling at Connor. "He is very good." After Sarek left, Connor sat on the porch with the data chip in his hand. Lyra sat beside him. "What will you do with it?" she asked. "I do not know. Maybe nothing. Maybe someday I will share it. But not now." He pocketed the chip. "Right now I just want to be here with you. With our home." "That sounds perfect," Lyra said. Weeks turned into months. The seasons changed. Connor's crops grew and were harvested. Lyra's business continued to thrive. The self-defense classes kept meeting, and people in the colony grew more confident and capable. One day, Kate Murphy came to Connor with a request. "The Colony Council wants to make you our official security advisor. It is not a military position, more like a consultant. You would help us plan for emergencies, teach defense classes, coordinate with Federation patrols. Interested?" Connor looked at Lyra. She shrugged. "It is your choice, but I think you would be good at it." "Part-time only," Connor said to Kate. "I'm still a farmer first." "Of course," Kate grinned. "Cannot have you giving up those tomatoes." Best in the sector. So Connor took the position. It was not being a soldier. It was not being just a farmer. It was something in between. Something new. He helped make the colony safer without making it a fortress. He taught people to be strong without being violent. He showed them that protection and compassion could exist together. His nightmares came less often now. When they did, Lyra was there. She would hold him and remind him where he was, who he had become, what he had chosen. "You are not that person anymore," she would whisper. "You are Connor Blake, my husband. A farmer, a teacher, a protector. You are good." And slowly Connor started to believe it. One evening, almost 6 months after the pirate attack, Connor and Lyra sat on their porch watching the sunset. It had become their favorite time of day, when the work was done and they could just be together. "Are you happy?" Lyra asked. Connor thought about it. "Yes," he said finally. "I think I am. It is not the happiness I expected. Not simple or easy, but it is real." "Good." Lyra leaned against him. "I am happy too. Even with everything that happened. Even with the scary parts. Maybe because of them." "Because of them?" "Because I know all of you now. The gentle farmer and the fierce protector. The man who grows life and the man who defends it. You are both, and I love both. She looked up at him. You are whole now, Connor. No more hiding parts of yourself. That is worth something. Connor wrapped his arm around her. When did you become so wise? He asked, echoing his words from months ago. I told you before. I married a human. Had to keep up. They sat in comfortable silence as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the fields, Connor's crops swayed gently in the evening breeze. In the distance, the colony lights began to turn on, warm and welcoming. Connor thought about the long path that brought him here. The war, the violence, the running and hiding, the years of trying to forget. The moment when he had to remember, and everything after. He thought about his sword, which now hung on the wall inside their home. Not hidden away in a locked chest, but not carried every day either. Just there. A reminder of what he could do and what he chose not to do. He thought about the data chip Sarek had given him, still in his desk drawer. Maybe someday he would share that story. Maybe someday people would want to hear it. But not today. Today was for living, not for looking back. Do you know what I realized? Connor said quietly. What? Being a soldier was not about the fighting. It was about protecting people. I just forgot that for a while. I thought I had to give up one to do the other. But I can be both. I can be strong and gentle.
I can be capable of violence but choose peace.
I can be everything. Yes, Lyra said softly. You can be everything. You are everything. That is what makes you human. Connor smiled at that. Is that what makes humans special? That we are complicated? No. Lyra squeezed his hand. What makes humans special is that you can be warriors and gardeners at the same time. You have the strength to destroy but the wisdom to create instead. You can look at the worst parts of yourselves and choose to be better. That is your gift. That is what the galaxy needs to learn. That is a lot of pressure on one species. Then it is good you are not alone. Lyra used two of her hands to gesture at the colony. You have all of us. Learning from you. Growing with you. Choosing peace together. The stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Ships passed overhead, traveling to distant worlds. The galaxy kept turning, full of conflict and struggle and pain. But here, on this small farming colony on the outer rim, there was peace. Not the peace of weakness or ignorance. Not the peace of hiding from danger. But the peace of strength held in check. The peace of choosing gentleness despite the capacity for violence. The peace of a warrior who decided to plant seeds instead of firing weapons. Connor Blake, former soldier, current farmer, forever protector. A quiet human who married a Zalarian trader and built a simple life. A man who drew his blade when needed but preferred to grow tomatoes. A human who showed the galaxy that true strength was not about fighting. It was about knowing when not to fight. He was not a hero. He was not a legend. He was just Connor. And that, Lyra thought as she held his hand and watched the stars, was more than enough. The sun finished setting. The night grew dark and full of stars. And in a small house on the edge of New Haven Colony, two people from different worlds sat together in peace, choosing love over fear, mercy over vengeance, and tomorrow over yesterday, the quiet human and his Zalarian wife, together, always together, and that was the greatest strength of all.